Ludvig, how do you say welcome to warming up in Swedish?
Välkomna till uppvärmningen.
What he said. All right, guys, next up on the tee, Ludvig Åberg. Ludvig, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, pretty simple deal here.
Yep.
We want to know what it's like when you warm up, when you prep for a big round.
Okay.
Before the final round of a major championship.
Yep.
Or the first round of, you know, any old event.
Yep.
Where would you start? Like now we're at the range. How long before now has your process started? Have you been in the gym? Have you been stretching?
Yeah.
What's been going on?
Yeah, so I try to get to the golf course, obviously depending on traffic, whatever, but I always try to get to the golf course about just over 2 hours before my tee time. So I'll meet with my caddy, Joe. We'll sit down somewhere quiet and we'll kind of go over the pins and
nice.
Just to make sure that, you know, because obviously the wind changes every day. Hole locations might change the way you try to approach a hole as well. So we always try to go through that, and then I'll go get something to eat, whether that's breakfast, lunch, depending on the time, and then I'll head to the gym for a little physical warm-up.
Nice. All right, so you'd be a little more limber than maybe you are right now, but then what club would you start with?
I always start with my 60.
Okay, you got wedge. 2 60s in here.
I got 2 60s right now. It would be bad if I had 2 60s in the tournament, but today I do, so I'm gonna pick one of them, and then yeah, I'll start hitting a few lower chips, shorter shots, just to get a little bit more
hit a
feel
few for us here.
Yeah.
And I read that you used to travel with 22 clubs everywhere. Is that still something that you do?
I think that was taken a little bit out of context, but I travel with quite a few different options.
Yeah.
I like to have those options because obviously the 60 might change a little bit depending on the grass and depending on, you know, what kind of sand there is in the bunkers, and but you know, we always get that sorted Tuesday or Wednesday or something like that.
And so right now, what are you feeling? You're hitting these little half 60s. Are you trying to hit it a certain yardage, or are you just?
No, I'm just trying to get a feel for how the club interacts with the ground, and then I always like to, because my tendency is I'm kind of like dragging the handle, cutting across it a little bit too much. So I like to feel like a little bit inside, a little bit outside. So I get the feel of all the different shots. So
cool.
I might hit, you know, one little, try to draw it a little bit, one where I try to hold it a little bit.
So you're like more or less messing around.
Yes, for starters, that's what I do, absolutely. And then I might hit one little bit higher and then one little bit lower, because a tournament round, you're going to be facing so many different shots that ideally you would want to be able to hit that beforehand, you know?
Is there a dominant grass type in Sweden that you had to like make a bunch of adjustments when you moved here?
Yeah, like obviously we don't have Bermuda in Sweden. It's way too cold for that. So we just have, normal bent grass. So yeah, when I came over first time and I saw Bermuda, I'm like, whoa. Because obviously it reacts very different from what I was used to at the time.
Sure, yeah, I'm from Massachusetts, so I kind of grew up in that northern climate. Bermuda was very foreign and scary.
Similar. Yeah.
And the idea of like figuring out grain, never mind reading grain on the greens, was all very scary.
It was so hard, wasn't it? So yeah, that's basically what I do. You know, I might hit a few more a little bit higher, something like that.
I like that one.
Just to play around with it a little bit, just to get a feel for where the club is, how it's coming in, and all those things.
How about mindset-wise? Are you pretty intense at this point in the process, or like if I saw you on the range beforehand, would you be like, oh, this guy looks pretty laid back?
Yes, I think so. I'm not like, I'm never going to be the guy, probably, I'm saying that now, but I'm probably not going to be, you know, wearing headphones, you know, super, no, don't come talk to me. I'm always going to be a little bit more loose, speaking to my caddy, speaking to my coach, whatever. Maybe, you know, crack a few jokes or whatever, but it's not going to be like, don't talk to me, you know what I mean?
But you may not also be the guy like walking the range and stopping in for a chat.
No,
with
I'm not
everyone
going to go
along the
and
way.
chit chat, but
Yeah.
I'm also not going to be super locked in.
All right, so then do you go to full swings with your 60 or you move on to the next
No, I
thing?
don't actually. So that's the fun. I don't really do full swings with the 60.
Ever.
I mean, on the golf course I do sometimes, but I like to touch all the wedges. So I like to do sand wedge. I like to do gap wedge.
Nice. All right, hit us a couple of each of these. And are these still half shots?
So these are all, yeah, they're still half shots, but obviously a little bit longer. So depending on, you know, I might try to hit a target, or I might try to hit a certain flight or something like that.
When you get to the driving range and we're hitting into the wind like it is today,
Yeah.
is that emotionally devastating like it is for me, or?
No, I wouldn't say so. I mean, sometimes it's almost like if you want to practice, it's almost nice to have it into the wind.
Yeah.
Because if you know that, or if you can come out from that session and hitting it nice, you know that, you know, things are looking pretty good.
Because it will expose like any
exactly.
weakness that you have.
Or if I'm working on something, you know, if it's downwind, you might not get the same feedback. Really.
No, downwind you feel great though.
Yeah, you feel great.
Good for confidence.
And then you're like, first tee shot is into the wind, you're like, ah, shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, at this point I'm probably hitting a little bit longer shots, maybe to a target, sometimes not.
That was right at the target. All right, so we're at TPC Sawgrass. How long has this been like your home
about
turf?
a week now.
Yeah.
So not too long.
People won't see this for a few months, but like, so far so good?
So far it's great. I mean, they take great care of us. Obviously this whole back side is for tour players.
Yeah.
It's really nice to get that, you know, private. You can come here at any time, you can hit balls. Staff is amazing. They take great care of the turf, you know, everything we need in terms of balls and privacy. So it's been great so far.
That's fantastic. All right. So how far are you hitting this shot?
Well, I'm getting a little warm now.
Yeah. Allow me.
This one's probably going to be close to 110 maybe meters. I'm still in meters.
You still do meters. That's one thing I was going to ask you. If I say like 130 yards, do you immediately know what that is, or you have to go through like a little process?
I still know what it is. I just don't do it, you know.
So in Sweden, do the golf courses have like both, or is it just strictly going to be meters?
Strict.
Interesting.
Don't do any sort of yards.
Yeah.
I still don't know what an inch is.
I mean, no one really should when you kind of, that's maybe un-American to say.
Fahrenheit still, like all these units converted, it's really hard. But yards is probably the one that I got most knowledge of.
And so has Joe then learned meters?
He had to convert.
Yeah.
Because he's always been
yards.
He's always been yards
for sure.
Both Tom and Ricky, so
right.
He had to do a little bit of conversion training, I guess.
And so you guys really go through some stuff before every single round.
Yeah,
that's cool.
We do.
I don't think every player-caddie pair like would meet like that a couple hours before. It would just
I think it just simplifies things, because when we do get to the golf course, we're like, no, this is what we said we were gonna do.
Yeah.
And it kind of takes away all these like emotional decisions that you make on the golf course. Because sometimes you're like, I just made 2 bogeys, but no, dude, we said we were gonna do this, so
interesting.
Do it, you know what I mean?
So it's like sticking to the plan. I mean, the word I've already heard you say a few times, and I know you emphasize, is that idea of simplifying.
Yeah.
Would you say that that's what you're striving for?
It simplifies
with like almost everything
in my head, because that way I can prepare for it in here. So I know before I get to number 7, I'm gonna hit this tee ball with that club, most likely.
Yeah.
Unless something wind-wise has changed.
So you can stick to the plan.
Yeah, and I know if I get to 12 at TPC Sawgrass, I'm gonna hit drive and I'm gonna go for it. And it just makes things easier, instead of standing on the tee box and like, should I hit 4? Should I hit this? Should I, you know what I mean? So I think that's where I'm at with those things.
Do you make in-round adjustments then based on how you're feeling? Like if
Yeah, I think
you
so.
miss
I
the
mean,
fairway, then you're like, well, maybe I won't go for the drivable par 4 with the...
I try not to,
Yeah.
to be honest. I think because driving is one of my strengths, I like to use it as much as I can. And just because I miss a few, it doesn't really change that. But maybe, you know, if you're coming down the last couple of holes of a tournament and you need to do something, you know, might need to play a little conservative, you might need to be a little bit more aggressive, then I think that's a different angle to it.
I keep interrupting you here, but what are you holding, 9-iron?
Yes, I got a 9-iron in my hand.
And do you hit all of your irons? Because we've had a couple guys that like Brooks Koepka says he never hits his odd irons, like ever.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit different. I don't have like a set system where, you know, I go from the 8-iron to the 6-iron. Sometimes I go 9 to 7. I always like to do a two jump. So like two club
But
jump.
you might switch back and forth between the odd. You might have odd days
Exactly.
and even days.
Exactly.
See, I think that's more sensible because then you're not just only wearing out half your iron set.
But yeah, I don't really have like I never hit my 9-iron on the range. Like, yeah, I'll do it sometimes.
You said sometimes you'll fight, you know, dragging the handle, maybe opening the face, and maybe that would lead to hitting more of a fade than you would want. Like, do you favor a ball flight?
I always like, if I miss it, I want to miss it right, because that's an easier miss to play with.
Like the short right miss.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think the hard left miss is tricky to play with. Like, I don't have to hit it perfect for me to go out and score really well if I have that short right miss in my bag. But if I have the hard left miss, I'm not sure I can go out and score really well. You know what I mean?
I know that I know the hard left miss.
Yeah.
Well.
So that one could be pretty devastating.
So on the range, then, are you trying to hit it straight, or are you trying to hit a little fade?
I can do a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Because on the golf course, I like to do a little bit of both. So, you know, it could be, I always like to have a target, but it can be, you know, okay, this one I'm going to try to draw it in there, and this one I'm going to hold it up. And when I get further up in the bag, let's say up to maybe a 7 or a 6-iron, I also like to be like, okay, I'm keeping this right of it with a draw. I keep this left of it with a fade, or, you know, just to try to simulate what you would do on the golf course.
Right. So when you're, I mean, you're not hitting a lot of like slinger hooks though, right? It's more like you start it somewhere and then it falls to the right.
It either falls right or it holds it this way.
And how do you do that?
I like to keep, like, once again, like you said, I'd like to keep it very simple. So I just do it all in my setup. So like, if I'm gonna try and play a draw right of this pin, I'll aim a little right and I'll close the face in my setup. So
and then then
I might move it back.
Different?
I might have a little bit of a feeling like I'm coming a little bit more in on the inside, but it's not like I'm trying to release it different. I'm not trying to do any of those things. And obviously moving the ball back in my feet, it should start a little bit further right.
There's your little baby draw.
So I think for me, I learned pretty quickly, like, that's the easiest way for me to feel it, because that way I'm keeping the big motion the same, and I'm just changing a little bit in the input to make that look different. And then obviously the opposite, if I want to do the other way, I'll just move it up a little bit in my feet and open the stance. And it should hold it a little bit.
Back into that right to left wind a little bit there too. Interesting. But when you're, like, if you were going to do that in a round, would you think about, okay, here's the little ball position, adjustment, or is it just so second nature?
No, I would absolutely do that, because obviously, you know, playing golf is hard. So you want to, for me at least, I want to keep it so easy. The easier I can, the better. So I try not to change too much, but normally if I miss something, it's probably because it's going to be off, you know, somewhere in the setup. Maybe my grip is off, maybe my ball position was off. You know, there's so many different things. That's why I like to keep it so simple.
Because does your golf swing meaningfully change? Like, has it changed in the last 5 years or something, do you think?
Not a ton, to be honest. I think it changed quite a bit from when I was, let's say, 16 to 18 maybe. That's when it changed the most.
Yeah.
But since, it's been very, very similar, I'd say. Me and my coach it feels like we're always working on the same things, which I think is a good thing. And it just keeps it a little bit easier, I think.
Yeah, so how does that work with your coach, Hans? He's the same coach you've had since high school, right?
Since I started high school, so I started working with him in 2015. So that's, what, 9 years ago?
Yeah.
Now? I'm getting old.
And he's still in Sweden.
Yeah, he is. So he still lives where I went to high school.
Are you guys in constant communication, or is it like he's taught you to fish on your own, like where you are
I think that's one
self-reliant?
of the good things with him, because he's always been, making you think about it yourself. He might sit on the answer and he might know what it is, but he's always going to make you think about it. So I think from an early stage in our relationship, that's how we worked. And then we do FaceTimes on the range. We do sessions together, and then I try to get him over here as much as I can. He's able to come over more now than he did when I was in college. So obviously that makes it a little bit easier. But yeah, after every tournament, we always have a chat. We go through stats and all those things and make sure that whatever we're working on is going in the right direction.
His approach sounds more holistic than just kind of swing coach.
It's
and
not.
swing positions.
Yeah, exactly.
What is his core philosophy, do you think?
I think if you were to ask him, he would be more of a performance coach.
Yeah.
In terms of, he likes to take in just what we talked about. Well, it's not just P6 and P2. So it's a lot more of what did you think about this decision? Was this the right call? Was this the right club? And what were you trying to do? And what was your target and those things? And I think it's a healthy way to do it, because obviously there's a lot that weighs into a bad golf shot. It's not just how you came in with an open club face or a closed face, I think.
But you also know P6 and P2.
Yeah, pretty well, I think.
All right, you've got 7-iron?
7-iron, yep.
It's just so straight.
Yeah, I think that's what we've never really been working one way or the other. I feel like I play my best when I'm able to do a little bit of what I want to.
Do you ever do the thing where if you're fighting a slice and you try to hit hooks, and if you're fighting hook, you try to hit slices?
Absolutely.
Do you calibrate? How do you get back to 0?
So we have this 9 window drill that we do a lot, and I think it's the best thing ever.
So is that just
you imagine a grid with 9 different windows. So you have low fade, mid fade, high fade, and obviously all the other ones. And I like to do it with my 7-wood, because then it really exposes hey, I need to fly it, I need to hit it high, because it gets
How do you hit a low 7-wood?
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
We'll get there in a few clubs, hopefully. You can show me, but.
So yeah, I think
want your 5?
Yeah, I'll do the 5. So yeah, that's a good one that I always like to do. Maybe not in the warm-up before a round. That would be more so let's say after the round, maybe. Training week, obviously I'll do it. But I think those are always good, and it kind of gets you back to 0. Plus it gives you an idea of, okay, this is what we're struggling with, and this is what we can do better. And maybe one day I'm just nailing the draws, but I can't hold it, and so
Yeah.
I think it just gives you a good idea of where you stand and where you are.
And what kind of trajectory? So we're hitting into the wind. Are you going to bring your ball flight down significantly
Oh, for sure,
in this situation?
I think instinctively that's what you do.
And how do you do that? Also in setup?
Also in setup, yeah. Obviously my swing is going to be a little bit shorter, but I like to get a little bit closer to the ball. I'll choke down just a touch on the grip, and then just move it back maybe a ball or so for a 5-iron.
That was really low.
And then it's because you do all those changes, it's going to come out low.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
There's no way around it.
Yeah, so I would prefer to do that than, I don't know, trying to feel more shaft lean and all those things. To me, that's the easiest way to do it.
All right, yeah, let's see one more of those. Let's see, maybe turn it over a little bit for me.
Mm-hmm.
A little right
so
to
yeah,
left.
like naturally when you say that, I just move a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I'll drop my right foot back and I'll close the face a touch.
You're well trained. God, that's pretty.
Yeah, so I think from an early age, I kind of figured out that's the easiest way for me to do it. It might not be for everyone, but.
Was golf always like a pretty solitary thing for you growing up? Or was it when you got to school, you had a good support system?
Yeah, it was definitely when I got to high school. That's when, because I grew up, I never practiced when I was younger. I always played.
I heard your coach saying that. You
Yeah.
had to learn how to
so
practice.
he was like, dude, you got to go to the range. You got to go practice and hit balls. And I'm like, no, I want to go play.
Yeah.
Because that's how I grew up playing. Like I never touched the range on my home course when I was young. So I think I learned these things from just playing and scoring and seeing shots, hitting shots. And then once I got to high school and Hans, he would teach me obviously the fundamentals of the golf swing and the mechanics, and my practice got a lot better. And it's still the same today. I still like to practice a lot more I like to play a lot more in my practice than range rat hitting balls all day.
Yeah. I mean, do you think that that's the best way to learn, is by playing a lot?
I mean, I personally think so, because ultimately you play golf, you're not swinging golf. Obviously the practice is an important piece of it. I think you have to have that down, but I think you're able to play really good golf even though your mechanics are a little bit off, just from like decision making, shot shape, chasing a score, and you know what happens inside when I'm 4 under through 5, or I'm 6 over through 7, like all these different things that you can't really simulate on the range. And I think because I played so much early on, you know, I was able to handle that pretty well, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. We've kind of had like talked to people on both sides of the spectrum where, okay, Scotty Scheffler, best player in the world, right? He is obsessed with playing golf and, you know, working the ball. I mean, he practices a lot too, don't get me wrong. But like when he's at home, it seems like he just loves playing golf. So we'll go out and play all the time. And then Bryson, we talked to him, and unless he's like filming a YouTube video or playing a tournament, he will not play golf. Like he will just sit on the range. So it's crazy that that one game can have so many different approaches.
I think it speaks to the personality of the player, how your brain works, how it operates in the best way, and people are just different. Like that's what's so cool about it. There's not a right and wrong way to do it.
All right, what do you got? 5?
I got 5.
Iron? You want to hit a couple 7 woods?
Sure.
I know you're still on the comeback from.
Let's do it.
Oh, you've got your Ryder Cup Europe head cover
that's
here.
probably that's my favorite in the bag.
I know it's beat up a little bit. You got to get. You're gonna have to get a 2025 edition before long. All right, so this is 7 wood.
Yeah.
Have you always had a 7 wood?
No. So basically,
hit the drone.
In college, I would always play 2-iron. Because it was cool, or because it was West Texas? I used this one. I used this one for a long time. It's a 718 TMB. It's still in my bag, and I'll take it out every now and then. And it was great off the tee, not as great into par 5 second shots. Whereas the 7 wood, when I tried it out, I mean, this was late 23, so about a year ago probably. I started playing around with it a little bit more, and some of the best shots I've hit this year has actually been with the 7 wood, because you can hit it so high, you can stop it softer, and it's great in the par 5s.
All right, so hit us like just a nice high one. Like say, okay, you got. I mean, what yardage would you hit this into the wind for your second shot into a par 5?
Obviously, I think in no wind I would hit this about 225, 230 meters.
Okay. Oh boy.
So right now that would probably go 200 maybe. 20 yards wind, maybe something like that. And then obviously and that's what's so cool about this club. I think I feel like I can hit it high and turn it over, and I can hit it really high and cut it. You know what I mean? Can't really do that with a 2-iron.
That's just like dropping a little bit to the right. That's gonna like spin back into this wind.
I actually hit one of my favorite shots this year was here at Sawgrass.
Which one?
On 11, one of the days.
Oh yeah.
It was a front pin on the par 5 just over the water, and I hit this high cut and it stopped really fast, and so yeah, I've hit a few.
Is this your favorite club now?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's getting there at least. It is actually getting there.
And when you mentioned one of your favorite shots, okay, so now you turned that one over a little bit. Is that going to carry further than the cut you just hit beforehand?
Definitely.
Do you have a catalog of favorite shots you've ever hit?
No, I don't.
Like, what's number one?
Number one.
I mean, it sounds like that 7
that
was
one's
pretty
high up there.
satisfying.
Yeah, I think the amount of shots that I've hit with this one is actually pretty high. I think that one, I hit one as well at the U.S. Open at Pinehurst with this one as well on number 10. So yeah, I hit one in Paris that was really nice with this too. So
how about Augusta? Does anything stand out? Your favorite shot that you hit that week?
I actually hit one of them that I thought was really cool, and it maybe wasn't the flashiest of shots, but it was the second shot on 13 the last day. I just hit it in the water on 11 and par 12, and then 13 I knew Scotty was, making birdies, whatever. And I kind of been struggling with that shot all week because obviously the ball's so above your feet and the wind is off your left, and you don't want to miss right or left. And I hit a nice 4-iron middle of the green and kind of released it back. So I think that one stands out to me.
Got you in position for your
and I think a little
medal.
bit of the situation as well that I felt like I needed to do that, and I did it. So ended up not being enough, but it was, in that moment, it was pretty cool.
All right, so how do you hit a low one then? How do you hit a low 7?
So yeah, same idea, same principle of choking down a little bit, getting a little bit closer, and my stance will be a little bit more narrow. So you see I'm almost, quite a bit down, choking.
And is this going to go a lot shorter?
Carry a lot
shorter?
Carry-wise, for sure.
Oh, that's sweet. But it still comes out hot, huh?
Yeah, I think, I mean, because the smash is still high, it'll still go. It's just obviously the launch is very different.
All right, we'll get one more of these. We'll get you to hit a couple drivers.
Yep. And it's nice to be able to do that with this club, but then you can also send it up.
Sky it.
Yeah.
Is it going to be strange now going through all of these like crazy first-time experiences a second time? Playing the majors,
maybe.
playing the Masters, playing the Ryder Cup.
I'd like to think it's going to be a little bit easier.
Easier because you've been through it, or because literally you've seen, like, easier emotionally
I think so,
process?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Obviously, there's going to be a lot less work Monday through Wednesday, and all these golf courses that I saw this past year has been the first time, really.
Right.
Apart from a few. So yeah, I think that will make it a little bit easier, and then, just the fact that you've been there before, and you've seen the golf courses, you've been in the situations, and I'll be able to build on that.
Were you nervous?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You never show it.
No, and I think anyone who says they're not nervous, I mean, that's just a lie.
Yeah.
Like, we're all humans. We're all gonna feel the same things that you guys are watching, and obviously there's a lot of nerves and excitement involved.
All right, you've got driver out.
Yep.
Is there anything sort of different or interesting about the way you set up driver?
Obviously because I create more attack angle, I'm gonna be having a little bit more spine angle this way, naturally. And then obviously set up, the ball's gonna be further up because I'm hitting up on it. I think The only thing that I'm trying to feel with my driver is, because my tendency is to get a little bit quick and I'll go here. And then from here, the only way I can go is this way. So
and then bad
I'll get
stuff
here
happens.
and then I'll get under it and I'll flip my hands. So I like to feel like my backswing is really slow and that I'm keeping my head this way. So
head back, slow backswing.
Yeah,
cool.
Not necessarily going this way, but just keeping it from my back going this way.
From sending forward.
Exactly. So if I can do that, and then from here I can just shift the weight and cover it a little bit better.
And so is that kind of your swing thought?
Yeah,
right
so
now,
like warming up before a round,
yeah.
Those are my feels. And you know, hopefully they'll correlate to a good
let's see
swing.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully you guys can see that. It's just an absolute missile, dead straight. And you've got your front foot a little bit flared out.
Exactly. Yeah, just to make it easier on my hips.
Do you have tight hips?
I do. Yeah.
Like the rest of the world. I
yeah,
guess,
I think so. It just makes it a little bit easier.
What's your favorite part about golf?
That's a massive question, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of existential, but you can just say one thing you like about golf.
I think it's so simple, but it's so hard, and it's so logical, but it's still so hard. And you're never going to be finished. You're never going to figure it out. You maybe think you are, and you maybe think you have come a long ways, but there's so much more to learn. You know, there's always a better score out there. There's always a better shot, and I think just, you know, trying to figure that out is what excites me. And you know, you're always going to come out here on a good day and be like, well, there's so much I can do, you know what I mean? And there's never going to be like, I've done this, I've done that, you know? I think that's what excites me.
So you still like the process of it a lot?
Oh, 100%, yeah. Yeah, I think so.
That seems important.
Yes.
All right, what are you trying to do with this driver here?
I think, like I touched on before, I want my miss to do this. I want it to leak a little bit.
Okay.
Because like I said, that hard left miss, especially with the driver, is hard to play with. So I want to be hitting a pretty straight ball, but if anything, if I miss it, I hope it to leak a little bit.
Sure enough.
And that goes hand in hand with my tendency of what I'm trying to do in my swing, right? Because I can't do this, because that one is just gonna.
So that left miss, is that what? That's
so
what
that
scares
left
you
miss
the most?
comes
Is that
in.
that's
Yeah,
what
I mean,
keeps you
not
up
maybe
at night?
scares me, but I just hate it.
I'm projecting.
Yeah.
My own golf fear.
Yeah.
All right, let's hit one more driver, because I don't want you to miss your tee time here. Have you ever done that? You ever missed a tee time?
Not in the tournament. I mean, plenty of times when I'm at home, but
Well, yeah.
not in the tournament.
And will you picture a like the first tee shot, say, with your last driver? You're like, okay, this is what I'm gonna hit on number one.
I used to do
at
that in
Sawgrass.
college, actually.
Yeah.
I haven't done that in a while, though. I mean, I guess some guys do it. It's
Yeah.
not bad.
Some do. I think some don't. Nuked.
So that one's nice to me because I feel like that one's never gonna go left.
Yeah.
And if I miss it, it's just gonna go a little bit more right.
A few yards right.
Yeah. So.
Awesome. All right. Is there like a wedge that you hit before you go to the first tee, or do you finish?
Then I
your
always go
driver?
back to the 7-iron. There you go. So
Yeah.
I guess that would be the one thing that when I'm done hitting drives, I think just because it kind of normalizes the swing a little bit because the driver is so different.
7-iron is like the kind of the middle of the bag.
It's like the bang average.
You have any superstitions then right before you go to the first tee?
Not really, to be honest.
Keep
Try
it
to
simple.
stay away from those things.
That's true.
Ask me in a
because
couple of years and I might say something different, but
I guess then if something goes wrong, then all of a sudden you're spooked. All right, last one here. Make it a good one. Does it have to be a good one for you to leave the range?
no, not necessarily, actually. I just almost got the drone, didn't I?
I know, you almost got the drone. All right,
Cool.
Ludvig, easy does it. Thanks
Sweet.
for warming up with us.
Thanks, dude. Thanks.
What are you feeling seeing you do
Here?
like this? Yeah. Is this your current swing thought?
I feel the face a little bit stronger here because I
want it to be a little more
I
sharp.
tend to do a little bit more of this, so I like to feel a little bit of my hand like this. That's the only thing.
I like that. I feel like if we just followed you around during the day, we just like
Probably,
see you kind of
yeah.
hanging out,
If you see me in the
walking around your
grocery
apartment.
store, I'm gonna be like this.
All right, good stuff. Thanks, Ludvig. All right, you're released.